You're listening to the Healthy Living with Diabetes podcast. Welcome. Every week, we share tips and tricks, information, or stories for people who are on their way to managing their chronic illness. We hope we can inspire you to take small steps to make big changes to help you live a healthier life. Thanks for being here. Self-care, be aware. Self-care is incredibly important, not only for your mental health, but it affects your physical health as well. In this episode, we want to share some ideas on how you can better implement some self-care techniques to help you feel your best. Work with your healthcare team. Remember that if you are experiencing physical symptoms that are worrisome, it's important to contact your healthcare provider to ask questions. In order to work effectively with your healthcare team, it's important to remember the phrase take part, P-A-R-T. That is, prepare, keeping track of your symptoms and reporting those to your healthcare provider, and listing your main concerns or questions. Ask. Ask questions about your diagnosis, tests, or medications so they can better explain them to you. Repeat. Repeat key points back to your provider to make sure you understand what was discussed, and take action. If there are barriers to following their recommendations, let them know. It's important to advocate for yourself and take action when necessary. Create a self-care toolkit. Something to think about when practicing self-care is to have a list of tools on hand to be able to pull from at any given moment. That way, when you are struggling, there is a clear set of steps that you can take that you know will work best for you. It might be helpful to write a physical list that you can carry with you to refer back to whenever you need. This list is going to be different for everyone. Some ideas that can be included on the self-care toolkit list are action planning, problem solving, decision making, monitoring your symptoms, get moving, stress management, relaxation, and positive thinking. You might want to write down specific things that work for you in any of these areas. For example, your list might say, meditate for 5 minutes, take some deep breaths and count to 10, check your blood glucose levels, call a friend to talk, go for a walk or stretch, and call your doctor with any specific health concerns. After you gain an awareness of the things that make you feel better, you'll have a good idea of which things you'll need to do from your toolkit at any given time. The tools that work the best for you might not work the best for someone else. Everyone is different, so make sure you personalize this as much as possible. Now we're going to have a chat with someone well-versed in self-care, Grace Collins. Thank you so much for being here today, Grace. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe touch on any other self-care tips that you might have that we didn't cover in today's podcast?
Sure. I'm a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner working in San Diego, California at a company called Achieve. Although I have a special place in my heart for active duty and veterans, as I'm a veteran myself, served for 5 years in the military, mostly in the military mental health system. I think the other thing too to keep in mind is, and it sounds so cliche, but gratitude. Even having a journal where you annotate, 3 things you're grateful for at the beginning of the day and the end of the day, but that can sometimes be enough. I also think, in general, community is important, and acknowledging that the people around you who love you and know you have a chronic illness might not always know the right words to say, right? And so I think sometimes there's a struggle with people with chronic illness and the people around them because the people around them don't know how to help them, right? They might try to fix the problem. They might try to change the subject, right? But I think it's important to let people know that it's okay to tell the people around you how they should respond to you. Have that open dialogue. Say, hey, listen, I know I'm struggling right now with a chronic illness. I don't need advice, right? I just need someone to listen. So it goes kind of both for the people who love the person with the chronic illness and the person experiencing it, having that open dialogue about how do we talk about it? how is it best for you to acknowledge this big part of your life?
That is such great advice, and thank you so much again for being here. We really appreciate your time. Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode. This has been the Healthy Living with Diabetes podcast. We hope that it has helped you, give you a little more hope and inspiration in taking care of yourself and what you need to live healthier. Be sure to check out the links in the description for additional resources. Have a great week and take care.
Six sessions may seem brief for a chronic disease, but the skills you have fostered and the relationships formed will last a lifetime. You can look to these podcasts as a reminder of the strategies you've learned and the stories you've heard. But as always, we at the Healthy Living with Diabetes podcast want to thank you for listening. From the first podcast to now, we're here to bring you an audio community of stories, experts, tips, and more for those managing their diabetes. We are grateful for you, the listener, and are so excited to continue to bring you content and to support you on your journey. Thank you for listening to the Healthy Living with Diabetes podcast.